It's that time again, Michael. It's Thursday. It's 9 o'clock, and you know what happens then? Then you go, "What are we drinking tonight, gorgeous? Is this
Can I just,
medicinal?"
can I just ask you before we go into that? Did you miss me? Did you miss me last week?
Oh, mate, last week I pined, but I had to get through it. I did. I have to confess. I got a bit of a sore throat, Michael. So
Hang on a
I'm
second.
glad.
The way you're wriggling, then, Dave, I was getting a bit worried for a moment. Just a moment. I just wondered if you'd been visited Maidstone prison again, but obviously that's not the case. Okay,
Made
Dave,
some
carry on.
prison. Yeah. So yeah, we've had interesting sort of week. The weather's been a bit inclement. We've not been feeling overly fabulous. I'm sucking some lozenges as we speak. But I think I got my mate popping in tonight he's joined up to Wake Up UK, so he should be sat at home now. And I see him actually Saturday night. And I did a feed yesterday on my Facebook saying, how are you all doing it? And the content of this live stream, which was for about an hour, I'm genuinely interested to know how normal everyday people now are paying and keeping on top of mortgages, rents, food, gas, electric, and all the other bits and bobs that go in. I genuinely can't see how people are keeping up with it. Now, just up the road, they're renting out 2-bedroom static caravans, which, the wind can blow through there merrily up the tree, for £1,290 a month. And I'm just like, none of this makes sense to me. None of this makes sense. So I'm genuinely concerned of how are people managing, Michael?
Well, first of all, Dave, are you sucking on a fisherman's friend?
No, it's just a fright. I give up sucking fishermen's friends long time ago.
I thought I'd ask Dave because the viewers here, all two of them, that's me and you, are concerned that your larynx and your vocal cords may have been impeded by any extracurricular activities you may have had on a previous evening. However, getting back to the serious point, I take the point there, Dave. It seems to me that a lot of people now are being persecuted by government and local council. How on earth can any reasonable, voted in, and we're going to get to this, council put up rates, council tax, by 5%? Now, it's bad enough that people have got to spend money on extra mortgages, gas, electricity, cost of food, petrol, all the stuff that you go through on a regular basis to be a human being and to have a reasonable life. But then along comes these bureaucrats, these people who are, we're doing the worst. I mean, they're doing this because they think they're doing a great job. And what are they actually doing, for their 5% increase? What exactly does Islington, God forbid, does Kent County Council do to get me? I'm in band G, would you believe? And I'm going to go over £3,000 a year for what? What am I actually paying for £3,000? If you phone the police, they give you a crime number. They don't come out. They're not interested. The roads are in a shit state. The only thing I can think they actually do is take away the rubbish. And they do that every Friday. So is that worth £3,000 a year? So I asked myself, it's time, Dave, that the people now start realising, and this is something I want to talk about tonight particularly, about the Constitution. Now, the Constitution starts from Magna Carta. We're all told that Magna Carta is a done deal. No, it's not. Magna Carta cannot be done away with. It's about because it's not a government legislation. It's not an act of Parliament. It's nothing. It was designed to give people freedom, and with that freedom came the right to try people by jury.
Amen.
Hundreds of years ago, the jury had a judge. He wasn't called a judge. He was a man there to give advice. And the jury there, not only did they find the guy guilty and weigh him, because you are tried by your peers, they had a second purpose, which is actually true. Absolutely. Well done, Dave. Good man. So basically, the jury has a second purpose, And the purpose was to decide whether what that man was being brought to trial for, the act which could be repealed by any successive government, was still viable and still something that he can be tried for. Now it comes down to the three things: legislature, judiciary, and executive. Now we all know what the legislature, because they legislate, and legislature doesn't override the constitution because they're acts. The constitution, and this is where people now are, and a lot of very, very learned people are now bringing to the fore the constitution to take on, because let's put it this way: if King Charles does not repeal or look at he undertakes the WEF, he's in breach of of the Constitution, and he cannot take the coronation oath, and that's a fact. And that has been done and been studied by people who are looking at the Constitution. And the Constitution is set up under Magna Carta, which everybody goes, oh, that's not worth anything anymore. Yes, it is, because it's not an act of Parliament. It's nothing to do with the legislature. It wasn't set up by them. Any sort of law or anything they pass is pointless, because it can be overturned by the next government. So they're not permanent. It's bullshit. So what we have now is an opportunity, as we become more wiser and more learned, to say to the government, we are the ones with the power. You do what we say, not what you tell us what we need to do. And because of the way the government have successfully brainwashed people in weaning us off the Constitution, we are now subservient to the government, when in fact they are subservient to us. They must understand that this is where we are. We are now being placed by governments, and the way they have run the country and over the hundreds of years have weaned us off the way that we govern ourselves. They've taken more and more power away from the people, when it's time we, the people, stood up and said, you can't, under the Constitution, you can't do that. And we can dissolve the fucking Parliament. We can tell them, go, because it's in our power as the people. Now, if the people are prepared, that's us, if we can stand up as one and say, we, in the name of God, depart this place, and do an Oliver Cromwell, and put people in there who we decide, not the people we vote for, but people where we take consent of and we take a good look at and say, why is this guy going to be Chancellor of the Exchequer? Why is this guy going to be Foreign Minister? Not because Richie Sunak thinks he's the right bloke, not because some Boris Johnson or Keir Starmer says, oh, yeah, well, they're good mates, we'll put them in there. Fuck them. It's about what we want. They're not talking about us. They're talking about themselves. Forget Labour, Conservative, Liberal, and anything else. You've got to think about us, the people. Now we need a people power party. We need a party set up just to represent the people, not represent the Conservative Party, the Labour Party, or anybody else. The people. Get rid of this stuff and put us back in charge, and let us have the freedom that Magna Carta gives us. I'm going to take a breath because I'm getting a sore throat, so I'm getting really upset about it.
Mate, honestly, you're looking at someone that studied the Constitution for many, many, many years. And there's not much I don't really know. I've got a handle on it. I've always had the rule of law running through me. And Parliament, by its own admission, is not sovereign.
No.
Whenever you read...
Sorry to interrupt you, Dave. Hang on. Can I just stop you there? That's a very, very good point, because Dave, on the website of Parliament, it announced Parliament is sovereign. That's what it says on their website, and that's not true. Parliament is not sovereign. We are sovereign.
Yeah, we the people are sovereign. So when we look at the formulation of Parliament, when it was the King and King in Parliament and the Queen in Parliament, after Charles I, and there was that time period going on. What actually happened was there was a couple of things that happened. Firstly was the Bill of Rights, 1688-89, and within that, which is their founding document, without the Bill of Rights, they can't even exist. it says that Parliament may do nothing to the prejudice of the people. And also in the Act of Settlement 1700, the Act of Settlement 1700 actually turns around and says that the law is the birthright of the people. Now, if Parliament was indeed sovereign, would you have any need for courts?
No.
There you go.
No, you wouldn't, because it says that we are tried by our peers. Our peers are us, the people. The jury system has been watered down to the point where all it does is it gives the verdict, and the judge gives the sentence. The judge's only task under the Constitution was to give advice. The jury handed out, because you're tried by your peers, the jury, they are the people that decided your verdict or your sentence, and also whether that sentence was correct. And I have to say, Dave, in most cases, a lot of juries now are misdirected by judges, because the judges feel like, just like my son-in-law has been lied to and set up by the NCA. Okay, these people have misdirected juries to find them guilty, and when they couldn't find them guilty, they said we took 3 people out of it, and he was tried by 9 people. This is for a case where my son-in-law was sentenced to 26 years, and he's not guilty. And I say, well, yeah, everybody says that, but he isn't. He's absolutely not fucking guilty. This is just the point where I lose all reason, because I cannot believe this country has now become a dictatorship. And that's basically what we're living in. And Boris Johnson has edged that further forward. It's like we put all into the sidings, all our rights and welfares, and we're just given scraps by a government which is a disgrace to democracy, a disgrace to all things that this country was built on. And successive governments since Margaret Thatcher have decided, now whether you like Margaret Thatcher or not, have absolutely destroyed this country as a country of free people. They've taken away our freedom of speech. They're stopping us demonstrating noisily. We can't do this. We can't. We've got face recognition cameras. We are being chased by HMRC. Fucking HMRC collect our money for us, not for governments.
They're supposed to, but they don't. It goes offshore. And all that HMRC are is a collection agency. They're just debt collectors. That's all they are. But I don't know if you've seen just what's happened with an undercover reporter from the Times. I don't know if I covered this last week, but last year, 2022, energy companies applied for warrants of entry to the tune of 367,000, and only 56 were declined. Now maybe then people turn up.
Your figure is actually wrong. Over 2 years, it's nearly 600,000 people.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, I said 1 year.
I'm sorry, I apologise.
Yeah, no, 1 year, 367,000. That was last year. The year before was 260 odd thousand. But the point is this. The Times, the newspaper, the tabloid, decided to send one of its undercover reporters in to British Gas, and through a company called Avato that have been doing all these warrants of control. Because of a national outcry, the Times decided that they would instigate this thing. So someone from the Times went along, got a job, and started and shadowed a bailiff and enforcement teams for a week. And the bit that distressed me the most, and I think this has been out on national telly, was this reporter was stood next to a guy, and as they were breaking into the house, this guy turned around and said to him, "This is the most exciting part of my job." He said, "I love breaking into people's houses." Well,
to be honest with you, Dave, just there, that one phrase says it all about what we all know about enforcement and what we know. And what did the police do? No, they got a warrant. A warrant, really? By magistrate's court, when they're giving £4,000 out in 3 or 4 minutes, they just write them and say all of them are done. That's the way, is it? It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be last resort. Now, we the people, we the people must have to have our own lawyers, if you like, our own barristers to sit and fight these fuckers and put them back in the cages they belong to. Because
Yeah,
these guys who've done that are guilty of not just of destroying family life, but of destroying a way of life. Which we are fair people. We've proven that by the way we allow people to walk all over us. But it's getting to the point now, just the same way that this little girl got killed, or got assaulted in Surrey yesterday. A little black girl, 11 years old, gets beaten up, or not 11, a teenage girl gets beaten up by six gypsy girls, pikeys. They get beaten up by it, and the mother's standing there, kick her in the head. Right? They've been arrested. Two girls of 11. That's where we are now. That's where this country is right now. And what do you think will happen to those? What do you think will happen to those people? Because they're gypsies, they will be saying, they'll just, we'll give them a fine, a look slap on the wrist. It was just like girls fighting. No, it isn't. It's racist. It was a racist attack. And if it was the other way round, we wouldn't be here talking about it. But because and that's where it all goes wrong. Because it's white on black, it's now a rape. But there's no idea. There's no. It's just got to the point now of stupidity. We're in free fall.
Yeah.
There's a black hole we're falling through, and I can't see the bottom. You know, man.
No.
Throw down. There's nothing there, and we are going down and down and down. And these people in government, this Conservative Party, and I'm a rank Conservative, will never vote Conservative again. I cannot see anybody wanting a government led by morons. And then what have we got? We got Keir Starmer. I mean, my fucking God! If we allow these people to take control of us, where are we? What do you think is going to happen? I mean, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. In the end, it will be when we've got nothing. It's going to be revolution, not fucking. We're happy. We're already getting 15-minute cities, and this stupidity, was it the 40? Is it the 41 city thing that Ken Libby started up with Bill Clinton? When they're going to start making cities look like utopia? You'll live within 15 minutes. Everything you do in your life is within 15 minutes. What the fuck is this? What on earth are we up? We are free English people. We need to lift the flag that's lying on a stricken field and say, no, that's enough. No. And go and fight for what we want. No point we sit there doing this week after week saying, and what do we do? Because nobody will support us. Nobody. Dave, you've been on enough demonstration, no, they're pointless. Shouting at the government, they just go, fuck you, let's have a bottle of champagne. And that's not Labour concern. That's all of them. They're not interested in us. The only time they'll be interested is when we start putting tanks on the street and blowing the fucking House of Parliament up. Because what's it worth? It's a pile of rubble. And it's not worth what it should be. It's a place of debate and reason. It isn't. It's a place of making people suffer. For what? For money. All about fucking money. That's all it's about. And all those 600 people got their noses in the trough while we poor fuckers pay them. Well, not pay them. Let's put people like Dave in fucking government and Spear Chucker and people like that. All these people like Del Boy, who actually understand the Constitution, understand what people want. Put people in there who know what people want and make absolutely, Dave. I mean, it's getting to this point where we really need a revolution to wipe away and start again, just like they do with the NHS. But don't get me on the NHS. But that's it. Anyway, but that's true, Dave. We're not just being shafted. We're being fucking ripped from the inside out.
My mate dropped me a message yesterday. I see him Saturday night, and we had a few beers and a cuddle and a chat. And after my live stream that I did yesterday, he sent me this message. And my friend, he just works for a living. He works for a firm. He takes his pay packet home, and he tries to have a nice life. So he sent me this yesterday, He said, Dave, he said, I watched your very interesting I Want to Know video earlier. He said, I take home £29,000 a year after being raped by the government. And these are his words, not mine. I very rarely go out. I do not even have the heating on at my home. After my rent, food bills, car fuel, council tax, car tax, insurance, and it goes on, I have nothing left. Can't save, and I have no retirement fund. We'll have to work until I can't do it anymore. Then I don't have the answers. I've paid tax and national insurance since I was 16 and I'm now 59. The state will pay me £650 a month when I retire. So if I struggle on £29,000 now, how am I going to survive on £8,000 a year? He said, I'm no fool. But how are energy companies making record amounts of billions, yet the people can no longer heat their homes? Why has the cost risen so high when companies are making so much profit? The people are getting raped. The system works by the rich owning everything. You work to make them richer. They pay you the dollar, then you pay it off back because what you spend on goes back into their pockets because of everything that they own. It keeps the poor poor. Now you can't. Now I've never ever imagined my friend ever. He's an old golfing buddy of mine. I just never imagined him, and I think he's tuning in to the show tonight. I just never imagined him ever talking like this or feeling like this.
Petrol should be 28 pence a litre cheaper than it is right now, right? Why is it then that you've got those little heaters there that run on diesel?
I've got it on.
And you pay £1.80 a litre for it, right?
£1 a litre.
How much?
£1 a litre for kerosene.
Oh, kerosene. But if you were paying for diesel, what would you pay? One what?
180. There
180.
it is.
Well, it should be about 168, 164 diesel.
Yeah.
Now, why is it diesel is the most expensive? And it's most expensive because it's where the truckers are and everything else. And of course, the more truckers there are on the road, the more money they're making. So the government don't give a fuck because they make all the money out of VAT. So basically, it comes down to this. It's all about money. It comes back to money. They don't give a fuck about us. They don't give a and they expect us to respect them and give them the love and happiness and vote for them every year and support them financially. I get letters every day and from the Conservative Party saying, like I used to, support us. Mike, you know you're a good supporting. I tell you what, fuck you, man. Fuck you and fuck you and fuck every type of politician because they're not interested in us. No. Look at Nicola Sturgeon. Tell me, it's she's been accused of corruption all the time, and she sounds like, oh, well, we dropped from Abrams, it's fine, it's fun. But it's not funny. You know, according to Jimmy Cranky, it takes away the reality where we are. In looking at Richie Sunak, there's a man. He's a multi-millionaire. Okay, his family, he's married a multi-millionaire. Right, so she got caught for not paying her tax. She paid her tax. Okay, just the same way as everybody else who got captured paid their tax. Right, but if they hadn't been captured, would they have paid it? No, of course they wouldn't. So basically, oh, well, I paid my tax. Yeah, only because you got caught. Okay, but I mean, where was it HMRC actually really after? Us.
It's control.
Your mate earning 29 grand. That's the guys they're after. To nick an extra pound of him to keep us poor. Keep us poor now. Fucking noses in the mud. To rub our noses in it. To make us realise our position in life. And our position in life is subservience. Serfdom is to make us slaves to the system, like the WF want. And then when we die, they don't give a fuck because there's more machines that are ready to take our places back in the factories. And that's basically what I want. To keep them rich so they can have what they want and to keep us poor. So we have to keep working harder and harder just to get a sort of life. What sort of life do people have right now? They don't have a life. They live in hand to mouth. That's where it's all going wrong. And it doesn't have to be like this. Government is there, but we are the government. We have to take it back from these people and make them realise that they're not going to get away with this anymore. Because if we all sit there going, oh, well, we're bringing our hands together, oh, it's really cold in here, well, we're terrible. Do something about it. Don't fucking sit there crying. What's wrong with you people? Get out there and do something like I did. I mean, I can't wait now for my council tax to turn up. Over £3,000 a year. Can't fucking getting that.
No, good.
No, I've got
Well, look at this. Look at it logically and rationally. Council tax send you some papers in the post. We pick them letters up and we intercourse with them. There's not been a case for many, many, many years that anyone has ever gone to prison for non-paying of council tax. And if they have gone to prison, they've put themselves in prison because they stood and said I was a legal fiction. But a bailiff can't force entry for council tax. So the worst case scenario is that someone, and don't forget, after the Times report, and now all these energy companies have said we're not going to be forcing anyone to have a prepayment meter in this country. We've suspended all other action. EDF and British Gas have all said that's it now. We're not doing this anymore. That's got to fall in line really for council tax. So to not pay it, the worst case scenario is they come knocking at your door. They can't force entry. It's a civil matter. They just can't do it. So I would say, you know, live your life, keep your money in your pocket. Councils really were set up years ago to be dealing with businesses and business rates because that was what maintained the schools and the roads. It was the business sector. And private men and women, as we all were back in the day, we were left alone. And we need to get back to that because they've all gone too far. They've all... Now, look, years ago, I was walking down a golf course in Red Livets, and my mate that I was walking down with, Nick Vickers, he was head of finance for Tunbridge and Malling Borough Council, or Maidstone Borough Council at the time. And he's a Section 151 officer. And he said to me, I'm off tomorrow to Iceland, David. I said, oh, fabulous. What are you going for? To, you know, get a prawn ring? And he went, no. He said, I'm off to the country, Iceland. I said, why? He said, to get our money back. I said, what do you mean, get your money back? He said, well, we invested 50 million in the Icelandic banks and we want it back. I went, hang on a minute. You've had 50 million pound of the people's money. He went, yeah. I said, and you've done that. I said, surely if you've got 50 million pound surplus of the people's money, you either give them a year or two free or give them their money back, because that money, Nick, in truth and fact, isn't yours. It's the people's. And he couldn't look at me and he couldn't answer me, because that's what the truth does to these people. It pierces them. Now, a friend of mine finds himself in hot water. He's in a psychiatric wing up Yorkshire. He got beat up by the police and he ended up in a psychiatric ward. Now, he won't be in there long. They don't even know why he's in there. He wanted to test after he won a court case and he got the judge to get up and leave and evacuate the building. He wanted to see whether they'd take him back to court, and the police wouldn't. They've dumped him at this place. But the point is this, all they want to do is, because of the way he's talking, is medicate him. And they come in and said to him the other day, take this tablet. And he went, well, I don't want to. And they said, and there were 6 full-grown men. They said, if you don't take this tablet, we're going to pin you down and forcibly inject you, right? Now, at that point, he had 2 decisions. And what were them decisions? It was either to be forced and have 6 guys jump on you and stick a needle in your arm against your will and your wishes, or take a tablet. Now, liken this to Andrew Bridgen, this MP, I don't know, who's Conservative or Labour, whoever he was, about a month or 2 ago. He come out and turned around and the whole country heard his words, right? Many of them didn't pay attention. But those that did will remember Andrew Bridgen said that this last 3 year, the rollout, not the vaccine, he said the rollout and the way that this has all been done was like the Holocaust. He likened it to historical event, the Holocaust. So why is it that Andrew Bridgen hasn't been taken to a psychiatric wing and questioned for his way of thinking? Why is that?
Well, because first of all, he's too powerful. He slung out the Conservative Party, he lost the whip and lost the Conservative Party. He slung out the Conservative Party for making what we all know. No, I mean, for goodness sake, Pfizer, they are, my partner's boss's son, Americans, he's a multi-millionaire, multi-trillionaire, he's got gazillions. And his kid, his boy, son, right, he's 22 at the time when COVID started, was given a tip He's now at 25, a billionaire. Billionaire because he invested his trust fund into Pfizer stock and it made him a billionaire at 25. Now, you can argue, well done him. Would we all done the same? Of course, we would have done. Absolutely, if we'd had the money, but we didn't. But at the same time, you have to take a view on it. That's what this was all about. It wasn't about anything other than making huge amounts of money. Now, the government already in hoc they bails out 400 billion quid, right? They bails out 400 billion pounds to keep us all working, to keep the country going, right? Where do they get that 400 billion from? That's what always amazes me. And where do they get 400 billion from? Anyway, so they took 400 billion, they borrowed it, they can or whatever it was. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So they borrowed this 400 billion, and now you've got all these people, the trains, NHS, all that. We want more money. Well, you've had your fucking money because you've got a job. And that's a fact. I'm not suggesting under any circumstances that they don't deserve something to live on, but they have to understand that a couple of years ago, this country, all the ratepayers, them included, bailed themselves out to keep themselves in jobs. They were given guaranteed money to make sure that they kept in work. Now, for whatever reason, we all know the government are totally corrupt, and we all know why the government did it. Just the same way is why they put you have to stay at school till you're 18. It's just to make sure that the unemployment register stays low. Oh, look at us. We've got low unemployment. Only because we keep kids at school. I mean, you know as well. Yeah, Captain Mannering.
Don't tell me name, Black. Don't tell me name.
Yeah, but it's true, isn't it? It's true. I mean, if it's incumbent on us as a population to take these people to task and say, look, we've had enough of this. We really are fucked up with you. In the name of God, go, and do one. Because I mean, how can we be worse off by governing ourselves? I mean, because if we're going to fuck it up, fine. That's for us, but not some people we stick in there with the best will of intentions. Oh, we really love you. We're going to do a great job for you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to protect the borders. We're going to make sure this country is free. It's going to be well protected. So they've given away, so they've stopped investing in the defence, which is the number one requisite for any government, defence of the realm. They have refused pointedly to stop people coming to this country. So it's now cost us £7 million plus a day in hotel fees just to keep these people living in hotels. And they've refused to deport back to where they belong, back to France. And they've refused to go to France. And they know these people are doing it. They know the people who are working these lines of to get us here, taking 4 or 5 grand. They know these people are, and what they do, doing nothing. They're not on the beaches. Why don't they send in special forces into these places and say, right, every time they go there, all they got to do is stand up there with a knife, stab the raft and walk away. And it's done. They can't come. That's all they've got to do. And the French can't do that. They can't do it because it's late, isn't it?
But it's all by plan, Mark. I've got some documents here. A friend of mine sent me this little stick down, and on here is, let me tell you, there's some fabulous stuff. He sent me a document down called and it's all signed and ratified by the Committee of 300. I can send you a copy of the file. I can just email it over, and they're all signatories on there. So each individual for each country is a signatory, and that's who represents the Committee of 300 for that nation. I think Tony Blair and Prince Charles and that they're on the list for England. But basically, what it is, the Committee of 300 in there, it shows you all their bank accounts, and some of their bank accounts are so old. They're called the account of Moses, the account of Solomon, the account of King David. So all of this stuff is going to these old biblical trust bank accounts. Let me tell you, it's very deep, man. It's very deep, and I'm blessed that so many people have sent me so much knowledge and wisdom and information over the years. I don't know how my brain copes with a lot of it at the best of time. But yeah, it's the Committee of 300. So it doesn't matter where there's a war going on. The Committee of 300 are the ones that are organising it, making it happen, and just making sheer colossal leaps and bounds forwards to get to whatever it is that they want to get to. But look, there's got to come a point in this country where normal, everyday people that haven't been paying attention are just going about their stuff. There's got to be a time and a point very soon where they just can't pay, where they just can't pay their gas bill and electric bill and their council tax. It's got to come, right?
Dave, but don't you get it? That's exactly what they want. That's it.
Yeah.
What do you think this 2-year lockdown was about?
Of course.
To destroy everything we know, to bring us back to hold our hands out to the government. Oh, the government looking after us. Are they fuck looking after us? Not one of those people sitting in there has got a slightest best. Their interests are in their own little worlds, the way they are. Absolutely. Look how many. There you are. All of them. All of them. Never mind about. I mean, you only have to sit and look and look rather fucking smug. They sitting there looking smug. There was something on. Someone showed a picture. There was a picture of two sides of the House of Commons. One was about COVID, and the other one was about grooming gangs. The one on the left was packed about COVID, and we have to push the legislation through. On grooming gangs, I think it was half a dozen people in there. That tells you all you need to know about this country, and you only have to go on the website and find it. It's there. So that's where this country is. British MPs are career politicians. A lot of them never had a job. They wouldn't know how to fucking run a business. Dave runs his own business. I run a multi-million-pound business. I know how to run a business. I started with a piece of paper and a pencil. Dave started by working his fingers to the bone. Okay, that is how you run a business, not by sitting on some green bench in there saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm an MP." I don't give a fuck who you are, darling. As far as I'm concerned, you're a piece of shit because you are not looking after our best interest. You're only looking after your own. That's a fact. It's time we actually did something, and the consensus has to come. Has to be a groundswell of people say yes. And getting back to the point you made a week or so ago, Dave, saying that that we come together and we have a central fund to look after people and say everybody puts a pound a month in. If you've got 1 million people, that's £1 million a month. You can say, well, who look after that? Who can we trust? Who can we trust? And who can we then? That's where it all goes horribly wrong. Because then you get people coming and say, "Oh, and they're just taking the piss." So all of a sudden that goodwill goes out the window because people are just taking the piss out of it. So you can't even trust some people. But
the ironic part about all this is that people haven't paid attention at home for many, many years because they've become very comfortable. If it ain't affecting them, then they're probably not interested. But that time period's over because the system is now coming for them. Look, there's a couple I look after out on Station Road, big Victorian house. They got properties around Islington and Hackney that they rent out. He's a big photographer for big magazines and photo shoots in London. And I was round there last week with some bits and bobs, and she said to me, "Things are getting very tight, Dave." She said, "I've told my husband he's going to have to go and find more work, blah, blah, because we're just about struggling to pay the mortgages and pay all these other bits and bobs." And I'm thinking, crikey, everyone's really... So the point is this, when everyone starts get affected by this and everyone starts losing their houses and they can't do this and that, it's an inevitability that people are going to take matters into their own hands. It's got to come.
It's coming. I say like this, the guy, this Kenny Curran here, an English assembly for the English people. Absolutely wake up, mother, and stop child abuse. Absolutely right, mate. You are absolutely spot on. And I've got to tell you, the best queen in this country was Athelflaed, who was a daughter of King Alfred, right?
Alfred.
Who defeated the Vikings, the Danes, if you like, and set up all the birds around there. And she
did
Parliament in Tamworth. That's where the English Parliament should be. There's a big statue to Athelflaed in Tamworth.
Athelflaed, yeah.
That's where if you go to the English Parliament, that's where it'd be. That's where she put it. She's the greatest queen that we ever had. She She was for the people. She was there she protected them and she looked after us. Every fucking queen since then has knocked up. Even Elizabeth I didn't do that. But our queen, we could say, could argue, but she had no real power, and any power she had was taken away, dribs and drabs, and despoiled, if you like, by bad government. The only real person that really had was good government was Churchill. Churchill, but he wasn't really he was a war leader. He wasn't really a politician.
He wasn't a politician. He was a war leader.
He was a war leader. He was a politician in name only because he was so radical. I mean, we need more radical now. Yes, we do. Would Churchill fit in? No, he wouldn't because he's too colonial. Because he believed in the greater Britain. Great Britain is now. It's not so Great Britain. It's a small little country that has great power because it's got money. It's got can't pay. They're also saying worshiping buzz. Well done, mate. Yeah, mucho, man. But and it's true. I mean, we are run by fucking Satanists. I mean, was it Princess Nut was supposed to be a Satanist? They said that that's Boris Johnson's wife was said to be a Satanist. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But that's what was said about her. And even if it's wrong, and it probably is, who knows? It just shows you the depths where people are looking to destroy the credibility of these governments. Now, anybody looking at this, and I hope there are obviously hundreds of millions, because we reach out worldwide. But if people looking at this and thinking, Mike, you're right, or Dave, yeah, you're right, or no, well, we agree, but we don't agree with some, but we agree with some, and that's why that's what you want. You don't want people saying you're absolutely right, Mike. I don't want you to say absolutely right. I'm saying you're right, but and then come on, don't sit there looking. Come on the stage and tell us, say, well, I agree with what you said, but have you thought, well, let's give us another idea and put it forward so people can listen. And then when people start listening, they start relating this. I was on the tube thing last night, and the guy said this, and they go, oh, it's bullshit. Well, I said, well, then go on and fucking argue it. Don't tell it's bullshit. Go and tell him it's bullshit and let him argue it back. But don't just accept what we say as God say and say that this is great. It's just like saying, now we've got, Dave, as I texted the other day, the church priest saying, we don't want to call our Father. We want to make him woke. What we're going to call him? So the Son of God is now can't be the Son of God, and we're not made in the image of God, and He made man first. So we can't be all called men. So what are we? So what is God? So God the Father? No, God the person.
What?
It's going to be God the person. What's it going to be? Can't call him him. No.
How can God
believe in fucking God? You know that, Dave. How many people in church believe in God? All they're doing is taking the money.
That's all they're doing. Yeah.
It's been a corruption racket since Jesus died.
How can God be a person when I've read pretty much quite a bit of the scripture, and it says in James chapter 2 verse 9 that God is no respecter of persons, and if you consider yourself to be a person, you're a sinner and you transgress the law.
Exactly. And these are priests. These are the Catholic priests who are saying, "Oh well, we've got to take issue with gender." I tell you what we take issue with: the way you interfere with young boys' willies. That's what we take issue with. How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you interfere with what we believe?
Have you seen that Met Copper that's just been sent to prison for all them rapes of women?
Well, I mean, rape is a hanging offence, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Rape is a hanging, along with murder. Rape.
Apparently, there's just been an MP calling out for hanging to come back on track.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And there's probably about 30,000 people in prison who we could probably hang. Bring back Albert Pierpoint. I mean, he was a great bloke. It's hanging the people. I believe in capital punishment. I believe that it's an eye for an eye. I really do. You kill a little girl, you kill a little boy, you don't deserve to live.
No.
He's banged up. No, he's not banged up. He's banged up for 30 years. He might have been 18 when he's 48 when he comes out. He can still have a life. That little girl's got no fucking life because she's dead forever.
But we got a police now, Mike. We got a police force that sit and scan social media all day, and when they get something pop up, they come round and question your way of thinking.
There you are. For me, Dave, Dave, as well as I wonder how many people. I wonder how many people in here really believe. I don't have people watching this, but and people rewatching it and whatever.
45 people.
Well, hopefully that you will get a consensus from all your friends and say, do you believe that we should bring back capital punishment? Do you believe that we should have corporal punishment to chastise children? Now, kid pulls a knife out of the teacher, and the teacher takes it, smacks him in the gob, knocks him out, like drags him around the corner, calls the police, puts him in handcuffs. Is he wrong? No, he's not. He's not wrong. When I was a kid, you did something wrong, you got the cane. They fucking lashed you rotten, and you thought about it. And I've got the case. Just fucking bullshit. Yeah, I agree with you. Cockney Parrot's right. Tony Blair's a fucking traitor anyway, and a war criminal, and he should be in prison along with George Bush. We know that, because as far as I'm concerned, they committed murder by sending our troops out to find a senseless point in this war. Because what's it brought ever since? It came down to this: that George Bush it's all about oil, and you upset my daddy. Saddam Hussein upset my daddy, just like Gaddafi. Upset everybody. But when you had these dictators in power, you had no problem. They didn't like ISIS, didn't like nobody. Nobody fucked with them. They went out and killed them all. Fine, we didn't care. But now, because we've got social conscience, absolutely, we got to do George Bush's daddy. The Bushes, oil people, we've got to look after their oil. That's what it all comes down to. So fuck.
It's all designed and controlled and put out there by the Committee of 300. The stuff I've been reading on that organisation the last week, it made your hair fall off your chest. The things they get involved in and their plans and how old it all is and it all. Literally from the dawn of time, these things were set up, and they're still being funded today. It is, but it's not what they've got in bank accounts. It's what they make happen, like when they fund the wars, and we all go off to fight the wars, and they just sit back and they just go, stupid bastards, and they're just literally they're. And at the moment, you got this Putin thing, England, Zelensky, I think, has just met. Prince Charles, King Charles, whatever that numpty is, and they're provoking. They're talking about sending fighter jets and all that. And mate, we are provoking. Well, I think we're not. We're on the cusp of something really shitty kicking off, because we should. What the hell should we be? I don't understand it, Mark. I never have done. But all I'm saying is, out of all that, I guarantee who's behind it is the Committee of 300.
Of course. The thing is, Dave, we all know that no government is in real power. We know that the real power is behind the throne. There's absolutely no question that no government on the planet runs their governments. They take orders from. It's just like saying who's the shareholder of Coca-Cola and who's the shareholder of Pepsi-Cola. They're the same people. So basically, they don't give a fuck one way or the other, and it comes down to this: there's money in war. There's a huge amount of money in war. Would they launch a nuke against Great Britain? Nah. Would they roll their tanks out across Europe like they've been said for years? No, because the Russians are not capable of fighting a war. They've been shown up by the fact that Ukraine has destroyed the credibility the Russian army ever had. Nobody's now frightened of the Russians. The only thing the Russians, get me on next week. Cockney Parrot, you could come on now. If you want
Let me send him the link.
Cockney, you can come on now. You want to, babe? So so don't think about it next week. Just come on when you want to. All of you, come on when you want to. Don't let us sit there spouting. For goodness sake, let's have some fresh voices.
There's the link. Come on, get your voices out. Let's have you.
You've got 20 minutes. You've got 20 odd minutes to come on and say something. Yeah. All of you, please. Please come on. Shout us down.
What do we make of this? Is it school teacher just killed his wife and kid, or I don't understand all this. What's going on?
Well, all this is going wrong since we've had the jabs. And they can say, "Oh, well, it's conspiracy theory," but it's true. All this like sudden death syndrome. Everybody, all these young people dying. There he is. Look, there he is. You're looking remarkably like Clark Kent. Don't you think
And
it's
it-
like he does look
Clark
like
Kent?
you do like Clark Kent, yeah? Or is it,
What?
No,
Fucking crippled up?
no, for goodness
Christopher
sake. I mean,
Reeve?
why does I mean? Don't you watch TV or anything? You don't have to
No.
go crazy.
No, I don't watch telly.
There you are. No, you look like Ant-Man, actually.
I ain't watched telly in about fucking 10 years at least.
Well, you're like, I'm going to send you one next Christmas because now you've got no money.
Hey, Michael, you know who we used to knock about with? Brian Harvey and all the
Yeah,
East
I
Central
remember it.
boys.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
why you're there.
yeah. Right,
Anyway, come on.
the thing is, have you seen all these fucking Ukrainian using the drones and all that with the chemical weapons? And
No.
all the Russian soldiers, they're dropping on them and you're seeing them fucking spasming out. So it's fucking, they're using fucking like Cyclone B gas and all that on them.
Oh,
Nerve
really?
gas.
Oh, right. The Russians are launching chemical weapons.
No, the Ukrainians.
Are launching chemical weapons on the Russians.
They're dropping the chemical weapons and they're filming it, right? And then they're filming them making the fucking drones and filling, like, doing the, like, fucking tables full of these fucking chemical weapons in canisters that they're dropping, right?
Have you ever been to Russia?
Huh?
Have you ever been to Russia?
Nah, I'd like to go.
Have you been to Russia, Dave?
Mate, I tell you, I was going to go there for an holiday. It looked amazing about 10 years ago.
I've been to Russia. I went to Moscow. I was in Moscow, right, for a couple of weeks. And I've got to tell you, the Russian people, you couldn't beat nicer people than the Russians.
Yeah.
They are absolutely fabulous. They are kind. They are considerate. They're polite. They are.
Yeah.
They're not like us, but they all drink a lot. You sit on a tube at 8 o'clock in the morning. They'll sit on a beer, smoking their fags, having a great time. And after work, 5 o'clock, they'll congregate in parks. They're very, very, very social people, and they're very welcoming people. You couldn't be nicer people. Like everything. It's not the people that's bad. It's the fucking politicians that are bad. Driving these people into the sun. So don't take it out that the Russian people are awful. The Ukrainian people ain't awful. I have a Ukrainian girlfriend, and she was beautiful. She was lovely. But the Ukrainian people are Russian, and the Russian people are Ukrainian, and all that region is part of Greater Russia. However, now, because of the way they said we want to be independent. Now independent, and they're an independent country, and they are right to defend their country against the Russians, but not against the Russian people. It's against the Russian military. That's the problem. Sorry, let me just say this. Kay was said, my uncle Bill died in the transatlantic complex in the Baltic in World War II. So I've got a right to say, fuck me, you know. I can go right with that just to keep. We did that. So my family sacrificed a man to keep Russia alive, and not just supported by Britain, but supported by the Americans. We and the Americans gave them millions and millions of pounds for nothing to support them.
Well, if it weren't for the Russians, America wouldn't be free as it is today.
Yes,
right? They wouldn't have beat the British if it weren't for the Russians.
Oh, listen, and let me tell you this. The reality is this. In 1945, after cessation of hostilities, okay, Patton said, we've got all the military here, we've got the Brits, we've got all the allies here, right? We will rearm the German army and kick the Russians back to fucking Moscow, right?
Yeah.
And Harry Truman wouldn't do it. That's the reality of it, right? Can you imagine what a world would have been if we had actually taken it up and pushed the Russians back to fucking on their own borders?
Yeah.
What a different world this would have been. And that's a fact.
Yeah, but what we don't need to do that. What's all the fucking the way we need to bring this government down, right?
Which one?
Is fucking
our government.
Our government. Our government is facilitating in the fucking use of chemical weapons. Yeah, they're breaching the Geneva Convention, right? It's all over the internet. Right?
I agree with you, but the Russians have done it themselves.
Yeah, but hang on, look, with the evidence is there though, Mike. Where's the evidence that the Russians are dropping it? They're not
there, but they did it in Syria and they've done it in other places.
What? Because BBC told you.
No.
How many
Who
times
BBC
has
says?
how many
Who
times has
believes
the
what
chemical
BBC
warfare
says?
shit in Syria been proven wrong?
Where do, can I just say, where do you get what? Why are you saying that? I'm not following your logic here. I mean, if it's sauce for the goose, it's sauce for the gander. The Russians, the Ukrainians, they're both as guilty as fuck. The Syrians, all of them have all used chemical weapons. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a
but
fact.
look, Mike. What I'm saying, right? It's whether they used it or not. We're England, right? We've got fucking laws, right? And the Geneva Convention, we're facilitating in the use of chemical
No,
weapons.
we're not.
Now, our country should not be involved in facilitating with the use of chemical weapons.
Hang
It's
on a second.
against the law. And then
Where
we're
am I getting it from?
inviting that prick over this country and standing him up in front of our parliament, and all our parliament are in there sucking his cock, right? All standing there laughing like seals, right? And clapping their hands, right? Supporting this prick.
Hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. What are you? What are you?
So,
What are you actually? What are you actually saying? Are you upset they're using chemical weapons, or
yeah,
are
I'm
you
fucking
saying,
upset.
as far as you're concerned, the Russians got an absolute right to invade another country?
Well, of course, look, this is all
Are
done
you,
by the CIA.
forget the chemical weapons for a minute. Are you saying? Do you agree that Russia have a right to invade Ukraine?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah,
Why?
I don't, because at the end of the day, they've been killing the Russian fucking citizens since 2014.
No, where'd you get this from? The Russians in the Donbass and everywhere else have been fighting the Russians for ages, for years, backed by Russia, and they've been invading Ukraine and using Ukraine to fight, and they've been going on for 14 years. That's a fact. So what's happening now?
All
So are you
designed by
saying?
the fucking CIA, Mike.
No. That's a fact. Are you saying that you support the Russian invasion of Ukraine?
I support the defending of Russian fucking people.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a question of defending Russia. The Russians aren't being attacked. The Ukrainians are defending their homeland.
Mike, you've been watching
Oh,
too
hang on a
much
second.
BBC.
Hang on a second. Okay, hang on a second. Whoa. Wait a second. Let me be impartial. Let's be impartial. Right? Who invaded who?
Huh?
Who invaded who?
Russia went into Ukraine because they've been fucking executing the Ukrainian Russian-speaking citizens in the Donbass region.
No, they weren't. These people were.
What do you mean? They executed all the men in one village, right? Executed all the fucking men in one village in 2014 or 15. The
Russians are doing.
The Azov battalion executed a whole village of men, right? And then put the women and children into a church, bolted the fucking doors up, and set them alight.
The Germans did this in 1940. The Germans did this
in France.
France, yeah, absolutely. But the Germans did that in the invasion of the USSR, right, or the Soviet Union. However, let me just your facts are confused with the past and the present.
No, they're not.
They really are.
They're not, mate.
Listen.
They're not. Right? Right. I'm going to start. Mike, Dave, I'm going to send you documentaries, right? Pass them on to Mike, please.
Yeah.
No, because Mike needs some education in what this fucking war's all about.
I know exactly what the war's about. And I support the Ukrainian cause. And the reason I support the Ukrainian cause, I don't believe, under any circumstances, that another country's got the right to invade sovereign territory. They voted, the Ukrainians voted to become a separate country. And that's the reality.
We're going to call time out on this subject now, because also none of us are there. We're not witnessing it with our own eyes, and we don't know. And Lord knows we've got enough trouble in our own country to sort out, let alone worrying about Russia and the Ukraine. What I'd like to talk about in the next 5-10 minutes is this woman, Nicola Nubi. What are our views on where she is? What's happened? Have we got any sort of suggestions on where Nicola Nubi is? It's a very sad thing.
Well, looking at it, she's been abducted, hasn't she?
Right, okay. And your reason for that is?
Because they can't find any trace of her. And there's no trace of her okay, on CCTV anywhere. So she's been abducted. They can't find her body, so she's been abducted.
Are we saying that she's alive? Do you
I
think
think
she's alive?
What do you think? What do you think?
Don't know how long she been gone.
About a week?
Wait or so.
She'll be lucky if she's alive, mate.
Unless she went willingly.
See, I've got a funny feeling that she's. Do you remember the canoe man that he said he was dead, blah blah blah. Anyway, I don't know whether she's in. I get a feeling that there's some sort of love triangle, something to do with maybe disappearing and running off with, and I don't know, laying low. That's what I mean. They've raked out the river or wherever it is. They've got no sign or anything of a body or anything. The dog was tied to a thing. And also, why would a dog be tied up to a lamppost if she'd been? I mean, it depends who. Someone might have tied the dog up, but I've got this feeling inside me that I think she knows where she is, and I think is at a point now where she's a bit like, fuck me. I didn't expect this national outcry. I think she's alive. I do think she's alive.
I think she's alive. I really do.
It's an interesting.
There's a lot of sick people in this world, mate.
Oh, well, we've just been talking to Mike about a school teacher, I think. He's shot or stabbed his wife to death, and I think he's killed the child as well. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on, man? Look, my mate, right, he finds himself in a bit of a psychiatric wing at the moment. And because they didn't like what he was saying, or they don't like what he's saying, all they want to do is medicate. But for me, that's not addressing the problem, is it? You know, if he's not been out on the street swinging machetes or trying to kill anyone with flamethrowers or guns or attacking anyone, that's not the case. So he's not a danger to anybody else. And even if he was, you know, put him into a room till he calms down. If he don't calm down, he stays in that room. So he can't hurt any others. But the system, right? These doctors, these nurses in there, they just want to medicate him because they don't understand what he's saying, and their answer to it, well, we'll just drug you off your tits, and hopefully you'll stop saying these things. And so I don't understand why the system does that. Why does it just want to medicate people?
I've got to think about this because a friend of mine, just over 2 weeks ago, was 83, very leukemia for 20 years.
Oh.
A woman. I've known her for 40 years. I loved that picture. She was a lovely woman. She had leukemia for 20 years. She had lost the use of her legs. There's a moot point there. But she became incontinent. She could hardly hold her head up. She kept going in and out of hospital. Her family said to them, "Why are you keeping her alive?" And they kept saying to her, like, you know, it's a double dose of something, and she's gone, which is exactly what they did in the end. And I went to a funeral last week. Now, I don't see, I've got a thing about this, about people dying, and I don't see why we shoot horses. You know, if you've got a sick animal and it's you put it to sleep, and there's no reason why people suffering like that shouldn't be the same. Shouldn't have the same.
Yeah, but it's a slippery slope, Mike. That's a slippery slope, mate.
I know it's. I agree, and that's the next point I was making. It's where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Harold Shipman, Dr. Harold Shipman, done a good job with that.
Draw the line. Yeah, and that's the only reservation I have. You know, that's but in her case, I've seen a woman. She was in extraordinary pain. She was sitting in her own shit and piss. You know, or anything. Awful.
Goodness me.
And if you've seen this woman, she was stunningly beautiful. She was a debutante. She was presented as the Queen in 1950s. She was a debutante. She was beautiful, and to see her like that was heartbreaking. You know, so in that respect, I think it was the right thing to do. But you're right in saying, where do you draw the line? Because we get back into Dr. Mengele. We get back into
when they start, then they'll start doing kids and all that.
We're not China.
You know what I mean? Where'd you go? You know?
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. That's my only reservation with it. It's when you say, well, they're not going to make recoveries. We'll just give them a jab and get rid of them. Basically, this is what the WEF want, isn't it? And also, let me say this about the WEF before we go. Unless Prince Charles renounces his, under the Constitution, his agreements and everything else with the WEF, he cannot and should not take his coronation oath. That's a fact. Now, the constitutionalists, I've looked into that, and that's exactly what they're saying. That as far as they're concerned, that Prince Charles will be outside of his absolutely. He will be outside the Constitution if he sides with what the WF are saying. And now that's food for thought, and you really got to think about that. But these senior constitutionalist experts are saying that's exactly how it is. So King Charles, if he takes the oath and the way he is, it's not legal. It cannot be legal. So, and I just wonder how true that is. And these
nothing constitutional can be legal because constitutional is law.
Absolutely. And also, this thing about common law, forget common law, it's the Constitution you have to rely on. Common law, you can ride roughshod over it. But the Constitution, you cannot, because it's not statute. It's not written by government. It's written as a gift.
My mate Graham Moore, he got arrested outside Buckingham Palace quite a few years ago. Graham's a big solid
Daddy Dragon.
Daddy Dragon, yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. And I've known Graham for a long time. Anyway, we was up there and he got arrested and he got took off to Charing Cross police station and everyone hummed outside and they let him go after a little while. But on the day of the court case, when he went to Westminster Magistrates Court, there's about 30 people bowled up and they went in and the judge said to Graham, what do you rely on today as your defence, because he didn't have a brief or anything, and he said, well, here's the Queen's coronation oath and is the Bill of Rights 1688-89. Anyway, she dropped a fucking bollock. She looked at the police and the CPS and they went, oh, well, we're withdrawing, and the police went, well, we didn't have any body cameras on the day and we can't offer any evidence. So she looked at Graham and said, you're free to go, have a nice day, and awarded them costs, and they went in the public store and had a bit of a booze up. So yeah, no, it does work. And here's the thing, if you're going to use it, the trick is not to get into any arguments or debate about it with whoever that you're going at it with, right? What you have to tell them is that I'm ever so sorry, but this is settled and established laws of this land, and that's it. It's cut and fucking dry. Because we all tend to get drawn off the scent. You might go to a solicitor and the solicitor might say, hang on a minute, whoa. This is the law of the land. This is settled and established. I'm not moving from that. And you've got to prove to the contrary. And once you keep holding them and fixating them on that point, they're fucked. And the same with a courtroom. The court, the judge should only be exercising whatever, and the jury should be given the law that's been broken, and that they must observe that law that's been broken, and a judge.
Well, that's where the Constitution starts coming back into play. People are starting to bring back the Constitution as law, saying that not judges do not pass sentence.
No.
Tried by your peers, convicted by your peers, and the peers decide your sentence. The judge is not there to pass sentence. That's been given, and they've taken that away bit by bit by bit. Judges have got no right under the Constitution to supersede the jury. No. The jury is sacrosanct. It's sacred.
Right.
It's
as was proved last year in Robert White versus the Queen, when Bob Sheerness, man, a great man, decided to take on the might of the system by himself and have a few good mates around him. When they had the police under cross-examination in the courtroom and was asking them, did they know about this law and did they know about that law? Under oath, they went, no, we didn't know about that. And this is the police that deal in law. That's like me being a plumber and not knowing how to fit a bath, which is peculiar. But ultimately, it was the jury that decided that case, and it was the jury that found the police guilty. So that proves that the scales on the Old Bailey are still level, provided people remain defiant and everything in this country, whether you've got a dispute with your energy company, whether you've knocked someone over in a car, should all have to go through a jury, and the jury should have to deliberate, because the jury are the people, and that's as simple as it is.
We went to court together, didn't we? We walked in that court, and as I walked in there, it felt like my soul had been sucked out of my body.
Yes.
I've never been in a place where I felt so. It was like if you ever know what Harry Potter is, and the Dementors are in the carriage, and they're sucking away from everything he's got. That's what it felt like being in the central in the central court of justice in the Strand, in the Strand and the Aldwych. I never felt that we would get justice in there. I never felt that I would walk out there a happy man. When I walked out there, I was delighted to go to the pub, get pissed, because as far as I'm concerned, that was probably one of the most extraordinary. Oh, Jesus, bye! One of the most bye, Patsy. One of the most appalling, awful places to go, and it's just like the Old Bailey. The Old Bailey is not there.
How long did it take you to get over that feeling, Mike? Did it stay with you for a few years?
I've never got over that. I've never forgotten it. I've never thought.
Yeah, that building makes me creep. I've stood in the Royal Courts of Justice as you go in and you go past the goons.
There isn't justice to get there, Dave.
No, there isn't. It's an evil, wicked place, and I felt it sucking them out through. There's something. I don't know what it is. Something in the basement of that building is very dark and very, very, very dirty.
I felt that in the whole of the. Well, I've worked in all like in the Temple Bar and that, like we're all a bar association amongst all that lot, and it feels demonic.
It is.
All of it. It feels demonic in there.
It's exactly what it is. You're absolutely right, Cockney. I'll tell you. I mean, I've never been in there before. I'd never been in there before, and as I walked in there, you feel the oppressive.
Dread.
Yeah, you feel, and it's an empty space. It's huge. For what reason? You don't walk in there thinking, I'm going to get justice in there. You think, am I ever going to get fucking out of here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. And when we met the master, who was a bitch, she was an awful woman. She had no compassion. There was no warmth. There was no empathy there at all.
What was her name, Mike?
Oh, Jesus. No, it wasn't Jesus. It was...
her name was Dame Barbara Fontaine. Her name was.
The Witch Queen of New Orleans, as far as I'm concerned.
She, not as though it bothers me, but she was a he.
It's true. I mean, homeless people just saying that. It's true. Absolutely. This guy, homeless people saying it's exactly what it felt like, a satanic feeling. And it's just like being in the House of Commons. These huge places. For what? To decide why? Why do you need these? Like it's going to church. You know, we all know that people who work for the church don't believe in God. They don't believe in God. They believe in making money. Why is the church one of the biggest landowners in the country? If it's about charity, give it away. Give it to the fucking people right now who need it. But they don't.
When William the Conqueror come over. Yeah, Salvation Army. So when William the Conqueror come over and won that war against Harold, what he actually did was he made everyone in this country what they call tenants for life.
Yeah.
Which means you have to pay mortgages or rent to live. But what he did was he left the church alone. The church, their lands and their tenements were left alone, and that's why no church has to pay any form of whatever. That's the reason why. That was when William the Conqueror came over.
The only person who took the task was Henry VIII, and with Cromwell. But they went in there and they destroyed the monasteries. They took away everyone, and he did it for various reasons. But he destroyed the church as we know it and brought it back down to earth and made it what it is today, good or bad. And as far as I'm concerned, getting back to what we were saying earlier, when priests are saying we are going woke, you can't be called Jesus, the Son of God. What is he then? A fucking transvestite? What is he? God, we're made in the image of God, and he made us first. So he's the man. So
Channel's gone.
Who?
channel's gone. Mike started talking about fucking Transformers again.
Yeah, I got a bang last week. I haven't had to go on YouTube for 2 weeks. I'm too controversial.
As it happens, we're still waiting to be invited down on your boat, mate.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to put it in. It's fucking freezing.
You'd be saying that to girls a lot of time, though, wouldn't you? Be saying
My missus says that. My missus says that. I'm just waiting for you to put it in. Anyway, gentlemen, we're at 10:15. What are we summing up with tonight?
Well, to be honest with you, Dave, there are so many things I want to say that I still want to say, and I'll probably have to leave it till next week. But I despair this country. I really do. I despair for the people. You know, there's a lot of people there doing really well up until 2 years ago. This country was flying. You know, it was on its way. You know, we're getting equilibrium, and they deliberately destroyed the fabric of our work, of what we hold sacrosanct, and the people got terrified deliberately by politicians to bring us back where we are now, when we've got nothing. They're taking away more and more and more. This fucking Conservative government are taxing us to the hill. This is like under King John. You know, they're taxing us to the hill to pay
Fucking
for
worse.
Yeah, exactly. To pay for Leopold of Austria to release King Richard I, Richard Coeur de Lion. That's what it feels like. Squeeze more and more and more. This guy's right. Permanent protected, absolutely. They're all right, absolutely. Church of King Thomas Becket. It's bullshit. We've got to get back to reality and bring us back to, so we've got both our feet and we know what our money's ours. And then we'll get this next week, perhaps, when we talk about a cashless society, which is the brick coin, which is what they're trying to bring in, and which was just recently defeated by the both houses. I mean, Jesus is right. They take the piss out of us. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Anyway, that's me.
All by design.
Patriot, what do you want to end up with, my man, tonight? What you got in your mind?
It's all by design, isn't it, really, at the end of the day? But I'm just fucking pissed off with it. I'm pissed off with them fucking inviting that cunt over here, fucking lording him up round fucking Parliament. It's fucking, do you know what I mean? That fucking actor cunt.
Well, you say that.
I'm just adding up with it all. Like, we've got some prick in there that we've no cunt put any fucking vote in a box for. Do you know what I mean? Like, all these cunts.
He was voted in. Anyway, by Ukrainians. Anyway, that's beside the point. The thing is,
Who voted him in? Who voted him in?
Ukrainians did. He was voted in. He was voted in. He was made. He was a TV.
I'm on about Rishi Sunak.
Oh, Richie Sunak. Oh, sorry. I think we were right. Zelensky. So I apologise. Sorry. Richie Sunak. Who? Richie who? Richie who?
Yeah. Fucking that cunt. He needs to fucking.
Who's in front? Who's in front? Anyway, listen, I'm ending the show. I'm ending the show. We'll see you all next week, ladies and gentlemen. Say good night, people. Say good night, children.
Good night.
Good night. God bless. Take care.
See you soon.
Hey, we'll speak to you soon.
Take care, guys.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check, give it a mic.